All right, we have another one today. Today we have a good one. We're continuing our Masters of Evil. And today we are going to experience Iron Man versus the mysterious Melter. Look at this. Special super issue, Lee, Ditko, and Heck. Iron Man greater, more true to life than ever as he battles the mysterious Melter in 18-page epic. That's fucking crazy. Lee, Ditko, and Heck. This is interesting. Well, first of all, look at this. Like I said, all of the Masters of Evil are evil counterparts of the core members of the Avengers. While Iron Man, his counterpart is this fella here. He's called the Melter. And he has this apparatus. This is his version of the power suit. And it has the ability to melt metal with this ray thing. How can I fight a super foe who has the power to melt my iron armor within seconds? And no matter where you flee, I shall find you and destroy you, which is inherently true. So this is quite a close call for Iron Man. It's pretty messed up. The Melter gives Iron Man quite a run for his money. So that's interesting. A fantasy super spectacular told in the marvelous Marvel manner. Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Don Heck combined their famous talents to bring you Iron Man's latest and greatest 18 pages of super thrills as Iron Man battles the Melter. And that's crazy because look at this. How can a man of iron save himself from a supervillain with the power to melt iron? It's a very solid idea. Another great classic to be from the Marvel Age of Comics. Check this out. Written by Stan Lee. I think this is very interesting. Written by Stan Lee, and it says interpreted by Steve Ditko. So he drew, right? Well, clearly he drew. Anybody who knows anything can recognize Ditko's work. I mean, that's it. He draws those like weird, like very stern primate faces, you know? It's Ditko's work, obviously. It's just, I think it's strange that they put interpreted by Steve Ditko. Because remember at the time, him and Stan Lee were going back to back against ownership of the rights of the characters that he was drawing. So I think that's very interesting that they always do this. They always put some kind of... They never just say that he blatantly created a character. They never do. Did he? Did he create the Melter? Who created the Melter first? Is it the guy who put it on paper? Is it the guy who scripted it? The guy who drew it? Do they own rights to these characters? Certainly not back then. I think that's really fascinating. Something that I think is really interesting about Ditko. About all the way up to Image Comics and the secret history of comic book characters and who actually owns them. You know, I think it's fascinating. Well, let's not waste time with long introductions. Let's start with the coming of the Melter. The first evidence of his power as seen when the army tank falls apart during a maneuvers before the very eyes of the high brass and the visiting congressmen. It's our tanks! What's happening to them? General, look. The points of stress of both tanks have been weakened to the point of breaking. Incredible. It's almost as though every vital joint has been melted. This news quickly reaches the famous young industrialist who built the tanks, and Anthony Stark personally begins to inspect the vital parts of his weapon components. The iron in those tanks couldn't have been defective. I buy only the best quality, pay the highest prices, and yet everything here seems okay when suddenly the Melter is joining our story. He's joining our story quite fast, actually. I know you'd show up sooner or later, Stark. Of course, this is his factory. It stands to reason he would show up. Now to apply my short-range melting ray to this new shipment of Stark war materials. This will show up the Army's defense effort and cost Stark a fortune. Thus I accomplish my two objectives. I strike back at the U.S. Armed Forces and get revenge on my old rival, Tony Stark. His old rival. Have we ever seen him before? No, this is his first appearance. By the time he wakes up, I'll be gone. Too bad he'll never know who I really am. He'll never suspect that the Melter is really his former competitor, Bruno Horgan. Yes, I recognize Bruno Horgan designs. Alas, the Melter smugly thinks back to the time of his last meeting with Tony Stark. Horgan, Stark's reports show that your factory has been using inferior materials. Therefore, we are revoking your army contract and ordering Stark's company to build our tanks. I'll get my revenge, Stark. You'll pay for this. Then, the Melter remembers how he accidentally discovered his secret of dissolving iron. One of the electronic testing devices in his laboratory built of inferior parts had gone haywire. The inspection beam is affecting the iron units. It's shining on them, melting them, but how? Studying this device alone in his lab, Horgan finds that the source of its power and manages to fit it into a small, compact unit. This is sensational. My melting beam will dissolve iron like flames melt butter. What a discovery. Iron is the most important metal on Earth. By being able to melt it at will, I'll become the most powerful man in the world. But just iron, not steel, not titanium? Are any of the alloys included in that? You gotta think about these things. Stan. I must plan carefully. I must use my power to destroy my enemies and to make me supreme. And after days of work, this portable beam will make me invincible. Nobody can defy me. Very interesting. Very deadly. I can't imagine that many people would be terrified of you. I mean, does it work on lead? I hope it works on lead because bullets are made of lead. I'm just saying. If not, then one cop, any officer is going to take your ass out. But no, Iron Man is in quite a bit of danger right now. With a mask to conceal my identity, I can plunder at will. The very sight of me will strike fear into the hearts of men. No weapon can menace me, for I can melt them all. In fact, the world will soon come to know me as the Melter. Yeah, I mean, the Melter. I feel like they could have came up with a better name than that. They only had a few minutes before the fiscal deadline, so. And now we again pick up on the threads of our gripping tale as the Melter prepares his next move. I will not finish you off now, Stark. That would be too merciful. I prefer you to live, so that I can toy with you some more, so that I can steadily defeat you at every turn. Meanwhile, inside Anthony Stark's suite of executive offices. Happy, would you find Mr. Stark and tell him I have some reports for him to sign? Look, doll, I'm his ever-loving chauffeur. I'm not a bloodhound. But if you can bear to have me take my lovable self away for a minute, yeah, I guess I can do it. What a gal. I know she's nuts about me. If only she knew it. Mr. Stark, what happened? He's been knocked out, goddammit. Aren't you supposed to be his bodyguard? It's a blow. It's weakened me. Pain in my chest. I must recharge fast. Oh, I've tripped and fell. Help me to my office, Happy. You look pale, Mr. Stark. Something is wrong. I know it. Please let me call a doctor. Yeah, you should call that Dr. Blake. I heard he's really good about these kinds of things. No, Pepper. I'll be all right. I just want to be alone in here. To rest. No doctor. Now that's an order. If a doctor ever discovered this life-giving chest plate I wear, my secret would be out. How could I explain to Pepper and Happy that all I need to do is recharge my transistor batteries to regain my stamina? And I can feel the strength surging back. Another few minutes might have been too late. Meanwhile, in another part of Stark's vast munitions factory, how easy it is for me to melt any lock. Now that I've gained access to Stark's power plant, I can put this entire factory out of operation with a single stroke. What, are you hiding in a closet? Is that what that is? Come on. But the Melter overlooks Anthony Stark's protective alarms, and an urgent signal flashes on the munition maker's wall. Someone has broken into the power plant. Without a second's hesitation, Stark opens a locked attaché case and takes out the component parts of his flexible Iron Man costume. Whatever must be done can be done better by Iron Man. I love Iron Man. His stories are pretty good. They're different. The industrialist angle, he's like such a pure industrialist character. I find him really compelling. I really like that. We don't get enough Iron Man on this channel. Thundering down his secret underground passageway, the great golden gladiator races for the power plant. Good thing I made this tunnel soundproof. The thumping of my iron boots would be a dead giveaway if anybody should hear them. Okay. Now begin melting Stark's main generators. Without the power he needs, this whole factory will come to a standstill. Charles, look! Who is it? How did he get up there? He is the Melter, you fools. He's using some kind of beam of energy. Playing it on our generators. Holy cow. They're starting to melt. Let's go. We've got to alert the guards. Warn Mr. Stark. It's too late. Nothing can stop him now. Another few seconds and Stark will be ruined. But at that instant, the most impressive figure of all comes hurtling towards the masked Melter. Drop that, mister, or you'll wish you had. Iron Man, I had heard you worked for Stark, but thought it was just a rumor to frighten away saboteurs. Well, well, this is more than I had dared hope for. Except that you can melt iron, so, yeah. Once the world learns that the Melter has defeated Iron Man, none will dare to oppose me. And so I shall turn my destructive beam on you. Good. He swung his beam away from the generators. But what if it has the same effect on my armored suit? Why, you'd be rendered naked, Iron Man. Iron Man, the pride of democracy, guardian of Stark's weapons works, defender of the weak and helpless. Ha! How easily the mighty can be defeated. His beam. It works. Oh, if he melts any more of my armor, my identity will be revealed. And worse, my chest plate might be destroyed. Yeesh. Before the slower-moving Melter can redirect his potent beam upward, Iron Man applies his emergency jets and streaks over the head of his startled foe. I've got to get out of his range. Then, with his transistor energy activated, to full power, the mighty Mystery Man crashes desperately through the thickly insulated power plant walls. He is faster than I thought. Oh, I've never faced such an enemy before. Who is he? Where did he get his power? And most important, how can I fight him when I dare not face him? I used up too much power breaking through the wall. I have to slow down till the batteries recharge. These transistor magnets should keep the Melter from reaching me now. Skillfully tossed towards the ceiling at just the right angle, the powerful magnets, pulling in two different directions, exert enough force to split the main steam pipe. Oh, he's outsmarted me. I've got to get away before I'm scalded. I've done enough damage for one day anyway. Now, while I have the chance, I've got to change back to Tony Stark. Nothing more Iron Man can do without a battle plan. Jesus Christ. This is looking very grim for Iron Man. Meanwhile, a short time later, America's most famous munitions maker inspects the damage to his factory. We're lucky he was stopped in time. It can still be repaired. Have the men work around the clock. 3 shifts, triple pay. Get it fixed fast. Yes, sir, Mr. Stark. But then, in Stark's executive office. But Mr. Stark, these blueprints need your okay. And I can't keep the congressmen waiting much longer, Chief. They're anxious to see you. I said cancel all appointments, all decisions until further notice. I won't be disturbed for anything. I've never seen the boss look so worried, Pepper, and I don't like it. Neither does he, you big ape. He's always depended on Iron Man in a crisis. But now he's afraid even Iron Man can't save him from the Melter. Then, after locking himself in his private workshop, he's gonna have to make something else. Like, I don't know, a Leatherman suit? No, Leatherman, that's too sexual. What do I do now? Iron Man is helpless against an enemy with the ability to melt iron, and yet, without my other identity, I'm just an ordinary human. More vulnerable than most, because my heart would stop without my chest plate. Face it, Stark. You're running scared. I don't dare confront the Melter again as Iron Man. If she should destroy my iron helmet, it would reveal my identity. Tony Stark would be prey for every criminal who wants revenge on Iron Man. What's the matter with me? I'm still not helpless. I've still got the greatest weapon in the world. A human brain. A brain that created Iron Man. Should be able to invent a defense against the Melter. But I've got to think. I've got to find the answers, no matter how long it takes. For if the Melter isn't stopped, no person, no community, no nation on Earth will be safe. I think you're overblowing it. I think you should probably just shoot him with a gun. I mean, lead, you know, what are the chances he can melt lead? I don't know. It's worth a shot. It's at least worth a shot. And so, the many-talented Anthony Stark locks himself away from the outside world as normal life goes on without him. Oh, but I had a date with Tony Stark. No one stands up the most famous name in Hollywood. Tony Stark does. He does. He's such a Chad. Sorry, Miss Glitter. Mr. Stark can't be disturbed for anyone. Man, I'd like to punch it. Pitch hitting that. Happy. He's the comedic relief. He's good. I like him. Put your eyes back in your head, Happy. I thought you weren't interested in beautiful girls. I'm not. I just like you. Well, look who's talking. The poor man's Bela Lugosi. For the love of Pete. Now, what did I say to make these little pink eyes of yours flash? Then finally, the next morning. You two are here awfully early, aren't you? To tell you the truth, boss, we never left. I thought you might need us. Yes, sir. He just walked in. I'll tell him. Goodbye. That was Washington, Mr. Stark. A special congressional committee wants to see you now. They sounded awfully grim. I'm afraid of that. I'll have to go, of course. Should I get the rolls or the Jag out of the garage, boss? Neither, Happy. I won't be driving. Suffering cats. I never get to drive you anywhere. What do you need a chauffeur for anyway? Sorry, Happy, it's a long story, and I wouldn't want to bore you. Now wait here, and I'll call if I need you. Oh, you heard the man. I wonder if maybe he doesn't like the way I drive. What would make you think that? Just because you crumple an average of one fender a week? But here is the real reason Anthony Stark insists on traveling to Washington alone. As Iron Man, I don't have to worry about traffic jams and flat tires. Luckily, I had spare parts to my armor, so I could replace those destroyed by the melter. Well, time to take to the air now. And then, within minutes after flying under cruising power, Iron Man reaches the outskirts of Washington. There's the small cottage and garage I maintain for just such occasions. Whoa, look at that car. That thing is cool. Then, after a quick change in one of his many strategically located, fully equipped secret cottages, Anthony Stark resumes the last few miles of his trip. What a mess, the melter running loose and able to destroy Iron Man. My factory damaged with still more trouble in store. And now an urgent summons to Washington. It can only mean a new, serious problem. Look, Joe, that was Tony Stark, the millionaire playboy in that custom-built sports car which just went by. Yeah, nothing to do but cruise around all day in that $10,000 toy, looking for things to spend his dough on. Not a worry in the world, boy, some guys sure have it made. Is that how much a car cost back then? 10 G's? Jesus Christ. My God, if only. Finally, in the nation's capital. I tell you, Stark, we can no longer tolerate these accidents. Not when our national defense is involved. Of all this nonsense about a man you call the Melter is just balderdash. Do you think you're talking to children, Stark? Your production falls off dangerously. Your tanks were found to be defective. And what have you to say for yourself, man? Well, it's too late for words, gentlemen. I'll have to bring you proof. I'll have to trap the Melter. Because of your excellent past record, we're giving you one more chance. Either straighten out the trouble at your factory or you'll lose every one of your government contracts. Do I make myself clear? Filthy rich, sir. And get rid of your strange obsession with a Melter. He's just a hallucination. He's not, I've seen him. I swear to God, I've seen him. Pardon me, sir. A long-distance call was just received from Mr. Stark's Long Island factory. He's needed there immediately. They say it was an emergency. I'd better be something you can remedy, Stark, for your sake. I'll leave at once, Senator. Before nightfall, a grim Tony Stark returns to the site of his plant in Flushing's Long Island. We just can't do anything with this melted iron, sir. It's all fused together. It'll take a week just to remove it. Till then, we can't produce a thing. Then it's even worse than I thought. Stay with it, Chuck. Do the best you can. I'll see if I can contact Iron Man. Perhaps he can help. Yeah, Mr. Stark. Iron Man, a fat lot of good he'll do if the melter shows up again. Far as I can see, Iron Man has had it. What are you going to do? You're just going to use the same iron? Why don't you just build it out of steel? Just build one steel suit. You're fine. Once again, one of the world's most dramatic transformations takes place behind the locked doors of Stark's inner office. It looks like it's now or never. I've got to find the melter and defeat him. Somehow, or else watch my life's work go down the drain. But first, I'll tackle that fused power plant. But even as Iron Man comes to life, two merciless eyes survey Stark's factory from a place of concealment. Then I've succeeded. Stark is practically out of business. Now I can tackle even bigger projects. But then he sees, it's Iron Man. I've never dreamed he would dare return. He's using his own transistor-powered strength and skill to repair the damage. He can move his iron limbs more skillfully than any Derek to clear away the rubble. Oh, I'll reach him before he can do Stark any good. And this time I'll make sure I stop him permanently. Clear the plant. It's a red alert. The melter's been sighted again. Oh gosh, head for cover, Peppa. I'll try to find the boss. Oh, you couldn't find a tree in a forest. I'll find Mr. Stark. No telling where he is if the melter finds him and then traps him. Hey, come back here, you dizzy dame. At a time like this, you'd be so much help as a water gun during the Chicago fire. Quick, Iron Man, look! What is it, man? Allow me to answer that, my doomed foe. It is the melter, the one you shall not escape from again. Just smash him with a thing. You've already got it, just toss it at him. Is he even wearing armor? He's probably not even wearing armor. It had to happen sooner or later. This is the showdown, mister. Oh, now we're all in for it. If the melter beats Iron Man, we'd all better head for the hills. But his thing. Why don't you just take him out? You're not made of iron. He's just a guy. Just punch him. No wonder they call you Happy. You're just a born optimist. I'll start out, Iron Man, by giving you a small sample of what you're in for. See how easily I can melt the cast iron pipes over you? That's so dumb. He could have just handled that. Covering you with molten ore. It'll take more than that to stop me this time, Melter. Oh, no, it worked. No, it worked. You're just covered in ore. I am aware of that. I don't want to dispose of you completely yet. I enjoy toying with you, for example. Do you realize how ridiculous you look at this moment? He does. He looks dumb. And they call you the Golden Gladiator. Well, not after today, they won't. Enjoy it while you can, madman. My tiny jet blowers will dispose of this melted ore in seconds. You dare threaten me? Very well, then our little game is ended. This is your finish. Melter, you're as corny as a late show villain. I'll treasure those words, Iron Man, for they are destined to be the last you will ever utter. And so, farewell. Is he gonna do it? Your armor, it's not melting. Anyone ever tell you that you have wonderful powers of observation? I have my beam. It's set to the highest intensity. It must melt your iron covering. It must. You had your chance, Melter, and now it's my turn. Why? Why? My race. The effect you. Why? No, he's coming closer. I can't stop him. I can't escape. Wait. The iron crane overhead. It's my only chance. See, the trouble with you is you didn't know enough to quit while you were ahead, and now nothing. Now nothing. I'll mount that crane so the boulder falls and finishes you forever. The fool, he miscalculated. But it's Pepper and Happy. They're under the boulder. They don't see it. They'll never get away in time. Moving with the speed of thought, Iron Man activates his transistor-powered jets at the highest intensity, and then, with less than a microsecond to spare, it's falling. If only I can be in time. If only then. Oh, I've got it. Yes. Look out! You've done it. You two, stay out of harm's way while I go after the melter. I saw him duck back into the plant. Ooh, now there's one handy gent to have around, eh, Peppa? Oh, sudden Happy. Oh, that walking tin can is the handsomest smell I've ever seen. But a scant few feet away inside the huge factory. I've got to stay out of Iron Man's reach till I can figure out why my melting beam had no effect on him. It's because he's made of steel, you idiot. But despite the melter's head start, Iron Man knows every inch of the sprawling plant better than anyone. And so, minutes later, flight is useless. You're on my home ground now. No, it's you. He doesn't know that I can control every automatic fire door in my factory by my transistorized belt panel. Now, I'm trapped. Yes, this is it. Ugh. I'm not beaten yet. If I can't destroy you, I'll mount the iron structure of the reinforced floor under you. You're cracking me up, friend. Have you forgotten about my transistor-powered jets, which enable me to counteract the force of gravity? Oh, blast you! Is there no way to stop you? Perhaps there is, but you haven't discovered it. Now let's put an end to this little farce once and for all. Oh, he's ripped out the strip of iron flooring as if it were mere paper. I've got to escape. He is unbeatable. I'll melt through this iron drain cover below me. With any luck, I can lose myself in the underground disposal system. I'd rather chance drowning than being caught by Iron Man. Then, before Iron Man, whose power jets are almost drained of energy, can reach the spot, all is silent and dark, and still. It's mighty frustrating. I can't be sure whether the melter drowned or escaped to menace me another time. For if he should ever return, I may not be able to trick him this way a second time. He never suspected that his melting ray did work against Iron Man, but I wasn't really Iron Man this time. Unknown to him, I redesigned my armor, making it entirely out of extruded aluminum. While I haven't time to dwell on the past, I've still got a big factory to run and weapons to produce for our defense. It's time for Iron Man to fade away again while Tony Stark takes over. Hey, what's everyone standing around for? The melter's defeated for now, and we've still got a mess to clean up. Chuck, get the work crew going and hop to it, men. Pepper, report to my office. We've got a lot of dictation to catch up on. Yes, sir, Mr. Stark. Oh, I don't know when things are worse around here. When we're in big trouble, or when everything's back to, normal. Then in the next issue, one of the greatest artists and writers team up in comics again. Join talents to bring you the all-new feature-length Iron Man epic. Are they talking about Ditko and Stan Lee? Probably. That was perfect. I thought Radioactive Man was a perfect 10. This was a perfect 10. It was entertaining, it was bright, it was colorful, it was loaded with action, there was plenty of story beats. The story, the plot itself was really quite concise and quite easy to follow. It was thematically relevant to Iron Man. This was a very well-made comic. This is very well made, and it makes me wonder, it does make me wonder, who is more responsible for writing these things? Is it Stan Lee or is it Ditko? I don't know, because I've read some of the comic books that Ditko wrote himself, and I don't think he's this good a writer. I think Stan Lee is definitely pulling some weight here, you know? But we'll never really know for sure, because both of those people are now dead. And who knows what happened in those offices 80 years ago, you know? But anyway, this was incredible. I give this a perfect 10. What do you guys think? Did you guys like this? And also, did you notice that the melter was never actually defeated? He escaped. That is because he will return as a member of the Masters of Evil. We're setting it up slowly but surely. Except Radioactive Man, I don't know how he's gonna come back, because as you see, if you haven't seen the previous episode, go watch it. At the end of it, Radioactive Man blows up in an atomic explosion, so I don't know how he's coming back. But the melter, we're definitely going to see him again. Anyway, that's it for this comic. If you liked reading this comic with me, you want to read more comics with me, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, nerds, stay heroic.